The high banks of Talladega didn't disappoint, where we saw Ryan Blaney in an action-packed playoff race go from the back to the front to pull off another photo finish victory. On this episode of NASCAR Inside the Race, Todd and I are going to break down just how Ryan Blaney pulled it off. And on the other side of the coin, Kevin Harvick, a runner-up finish that was DQ'd after a rules violation. We'll unpack exactly what happened. And finally, 2 races down in the round of 12. We'll go inside the numbers to see how the playoff field shakes out heading into the road.
They're side by side through the tri-oval. Blaney, Harvick, they spin behind him. Blaney gets the win at Talladega. Yes!
Ryan Blaney does it again at Talladega by about that much?
Oh, it's at least
okay, 2 feet. Before we get into Blaney, let's talk Talladega. Record number of lead changes since 2011. We haven't seen 70 lead changes, but a different feel. Fuel savings, gas and goes under the green flag pit stops. Was it the type of race you expected?
I don't think you can expect anything at Talladega. So, you know, in a lot of ways, I thought it was cleaner than I expected. Thought we'd see more chaos and controversy, but it was 2 and 3 wide most of the race. As you talked about, 70 lead changes at the start-finish line. Really well executed on all the drivers.
So this phenomenon of saving gas is all about shorter green flag pit stops. I think as a whole, I would grade the Fords the best with A's, Toyota's the worst with C's. They weren't failing grades, but every green flag cycle we saw Toyotas take the longest. Is this something that's going to go away over time, or is this the new speedway racing?
I think right now it's a speedway racing that we're seeing, because you can't take it away. Tires don't matter. Unless we can figure out how to make tires make a difference at Daytona and Talladega, it's going to be how you limit your time on pit road. And the cycles that we see, especially with green flag pit stops, when you have green flag cycles coming with your organization, minimizing how long you've got to be plugged in, that can be the difference. Even within your manufacturer, you might come in 6th and leave out 2nd. Put yourself in a better position.
So the move of the race for Blaney was for sure the last couple laps. That's how he won the race. But the move to get in position to win the race. It could have been a green flag cycle, but for Blaney, around lap 147, that's the key. So let's take a look. Circle the Blaney right here. He's all the way back 17th.
4th car in line here on the bottom.
I'll tell you where he is. No man's land. He is the 4th row, 3 wide. There's a couple rows of 2. And then the whole key is he has to find a way to get to the front, and it starts with Larson. Larson's in front of this lane. The top has the most cars, so as soon as the 5 has an option, he kind of sneaks up into the 2nd lane, vacates the bottom. That allows the bottom to be a little more aggressive, but then it takes laps, right? So we're going to spin it forward, spin it forward. It's still Suarez leading this group. It's all the way until the next time.
And we're really not driving forward because Byron doesn't push on Suarez very aggressively. So they're kind of stuck in place here. We go forward until Denny Hamlin actually vacates the middle lane to go top. That opens a hole for Suarez.
Yeah, so I was looking, I'm still spinning. It's a whole nother lap. You see, once again, on the bottom, the 99 still leading. Not a lot of really room being made. So now I'm going to hit play right here. And what's going to happen is, and it starts with Denny Hamlin. So Denny Hamlin, the 3rd car in line, he's going to go to the outside of Brad. That's kind of pull Bubba up with him. The pink car, Daniel Suarez, says, all right, I'm going to jump out of line. And at that point, then it's Byron and Blaney on the bottom, and Blaney goes to town and goes to town quick. This is heading to the start-finish line. By the time they come back, William Byron is going to be the leader of the race. Talk about this push from Blaney.
Yeah, Blaney was really aggressive at pushing here and was able to do it. Backs himself up, getting into turn 1, and he's back about a car length here, but closing that gap back forward to be able to engage the bumper of William Byron when they get straight on the backstretch. And just, once the 2 cars get engaged, they've got so much more speed. You see it here, Williams kind of going, you see William wiggle because he's kind of sliding around on the bumper of Blaney, but Blaney pushes him forward. He enters turn 3 as a leader.
Yeah, that right there, that's 17th to 2nd or 3rd for Blaney, depending on how he scored William Byron all the way to the lead. This didn't win him the race, but this put him in those front 2 or 3 rows. That's where you have to be if you have a chance to win them the race.
Yeah, definitely got them both forward to the point. Eventually, you're 1-2 finishers, so got them where they could control what happened in the race.
So that was what put Blaney in position to win the race. But then this right here is winning the race.
And this is Josh Williams, his spotter, laid on top of it, because it's phenomenal to hear the information that comes to it.
So I want to play it all the way through, then we're going to go back and break it down because there's so much stuff going on right here, right? So we're just going to hit play.
Still inside.
White flag right there.
36 going to push back to you on your bumper. He's going to push from the 7 on you. Still just one inside, white flag there. On you, still inside. He's still getting pushed from the 7.
Off of you now by half. Off by half, then tight. He'll get pushed back to you here. Tight, then tight. Coming back to the checker. Tight, then tight. Tight, then tight. You're getting pushed from the 7 behind. So tight and tight. You're all clear. All clear, whatever you need. Outside just the 4. Half back 24. 24 is going to get pushed from the 9. It's outside your door. 24 getting hard push from the bottom. It's outside your door. You're clear. Don't get that 24 clear. Half to the bottom. 24. He is not clear. 24 is not clear. The 4 will pull him back. Half back both lanes. 24 is going to help his teammate. That 4 is help us off by half. Keep that 24 lined up. 4 still half to the top. Still half to the top. 24 or 4 coming back outside here. Outside. 24 going to get pushed to you. 4 is out by 1. Keep going low here. Stay low, 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 low.
Just like that, and that's how you get it. So I want to back it up because there's 2 major moments in that lap for me. So I'm going to reload it. I'm going to hit play. This was all pretty straightforward. Now the tone of the spotter, Josh Williams, amazing. Sounds like we're having this conversation here. He's basically telling you still inside, talking about the row behind. A lot of information about the car coming behind, but there's not much he can do at this point.
Nope, nope, but he's giving him all the information, not only the car behind, but the car behind him, so he knows where the momentum's coming from.
This is the move that I think puts him in position, but listen.
Tight and tight. You're getting pushed from the 7 behind. So tight and tight. You're all clear. All clear, whatever you need.
All right, so we talk a lot about spotters, and this is an argument I have with fans a lot. Spotters aren't driving. He didn't say clear low. He didn't say go low. He didn't suggest that Blaney goes low. He's worked enough with Ryan Blaney that he knows Ryan Blaney is in control of his race car. He's going to do what he wants. And he could see Blaney, like right here, he's almost middle. Like so the 24 has a lane, right? This lane still exists. Blaney's really middle. So what he says is all clear.
Yes.
Which that tells me you've worked with Blaney. What I hear there is
turn to the bottom.
You can block the guy on the bottom if you are trying to go there, which is what Blaney does.
Yep. Yep, he's letting him know that he's clear to make the rest of the move because he started to make the move. He got to the point where he's inside the 4. But as you talked about here, there's really 3 lanes there. Blaney's in a middle lane, kind of no man's. He's got to pick where he's going to go. He's letting him know he can get the bottom.
Arguably 4 lanes if there was enough traffic.
Yes.
So now we're going to play it forward.
Outside just the 4, half back 24. 24 is going to get pushed to the 9. It's outside
Just
your
the
door.
4, 24 behind.
It's outside your door. You're clear. Don't get that 24 clear. Half to the bottom 24. He is not.
That is a line I'm not sure I've ever heard. You're clear. Don't get the 24 clear. So let's talk about this. What doesn't he want? He doesn't want the 24 to clear this car on the outside because that gives the 24 a pathway to the top lane, which is going to allow him to get to the outside of Blaney. So the spotter is not only telling Blaney the information of his car. He is telling Blaney, I need you to not just stay wide open. I need you to back up, either breathe the gas or drag the brake, to try to hold the 24 right here. I need your right rear quarter panel stuck on the left front of that 4 car. I do not want you to allow the 24 to get clear because as soon as you do that, then he's going to jump up in front of the 4, which is going to vacate this space, which means that Blaney's going backwards and the 24 is going forward.
Right. If the 24 gets clear here, they're all at the same pace. The 24 pulls up in front of the 4 transfers to the 24, and as you talked about, Blaney, it's like being out 3 car lengths. Automatically you are because the guy behind you just shuffled out of your line. You're going to back up. A great call by Josh to just tell him this.
Don't get him clear. So you see the 24 check up a little bit. Now the 4's there. Now it's really a drag race. I love the 12 not chasing the 4 because as soon as you pull up, you're going to kind of open the bottom lane up. I believe, though, I don't know what would have happened, but I think the drag race would have been even closer if it wasn't for the wreck behind the 4, but that is what happened. One thing I like about being the guy on the bottom is you know the guy has to stay with you because out of bounds is to his left, so you know you're getting the shove.
Yes.
Look, I don't know why we're surprised, right? Ryan Blaney's now done it for 3 times. All 3 finishes I saw on social media, they look exactly the same. Like it's the same 1 or 2 feet over the nose. Now, Kevin Harvick ends up being DQ, but nobody knows this in this situation. So, I mean, the 12's only racing that guy on the outside, and he beats him to the line.
Yeah, I thought the teamwork between Josh and Ryan here put them in victory lane. And to your point, it's a chess match. It's not just luck. It's a chess match of where you make the moves, how you communicate the pieces, and ultimately led them to victory lane.
The other big conversation out of Talladega is going to be the disqualification of Kevin Harvick. Finished second. I thought he had a chance to win the race. It ends up being an infraction with the front windshield bolts. So let's take the fans through this, Todd. We're looking at the front of a next-gen car. I'm going to get my little number here. There's 24 bolts on the front window. The ones that really matter, though, across the top and across the bottom. We got one there. Make sure I don't miss any. I see some here. Across the bottom. They're about right here. And there's also some down each side, 12. Basically, there's 6 up top, 6 down bottom, 6 on either side to get to 24. That's the front windshield. Those are the bolts that were not tight on the 4 car of Kevin Harvick.
Don't know which ones. Could have been the bottom, could have been the top, could have been the sides as you look at it. But this is an area that, I mean, back in our days, we would play with the windows to find opportunities to make these cars better.
Well, for me, this upper lip right here, if that was able to not be secured, as the Lexan gets hot, we see the cars roll through inspection, they got the umbrellas up, trying to shade them. Well, as you're out there racing, as that Lexan gets hot, it grows, and it almost creates like a lip. If you can imagine.
It almost get humped between these bolts.
And that ends up like a trip. Like, so the idea is to trip the air over the top of the car. And why does that matter? So here's the best way to explain it. I'm going to go to a side view real quick. I know we have a lot to talk about, but so air is coming this way. What happens, it goes up over the car, down the rear glass, hits this spoiler, and goes up in the air. And this spoiler is where drag is created. So if the top of the windshield comes up, you want this to go up, kind of get tripped a little bit, and it really just doesn't get reconnected. So while the air is still probably coming down, remember there's a spoiler right here. So if you kind of miss this spoiler, it creates less drag. That would be an advantage if you were messing with the top of the window. But you brought up something I kind of knew about, didn't completely know about. You talked about if you allow air in the window at all, it pressurizes the inside. So let's talk about, because you have this opening right here. Doesn't this do the same thing?
Yes, it does. This is part of the driver cooling package with the next-gen car.
Okay.
Because we had the exhaust running down the sides, interiors were getting really hot. They introduced this to kind of force some area into the car and force air through it. At speedways, the more pressure you can get in the cabin, in the driver's compartment, the better it's going to be. And that goes, can you pull up the back window?
Yeah.
Yes, so same piece, but here.
So these are vents in the rear window. So the air comes in that front duct.
And it goes out back here.
Okay.
So there's 5 of them. I circled 2, but there's 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
So these slots back here, if you can get pressurized air in the cabin, they'll blow out here. And if we can go back to that speedway car, the side in the wind tunnel, then that air is coming out of this back glass in this direction, and that causes kind of the same thing that you had going on, where the air is coming up and over. But here, it's got air that it's introducing itself with, so it keeps going straight.
Almost like creating, you know, like a little bubble right here. It's almost like you put a beach ball here, making the air go over the beach ball, once again avoiding this spoiler, because the spoiler is a huge point of drag. Even with the underbody and everything, you're still pulling a billboard.
Whether it's just trying to trip air off the top, or there's a rubber bulb seal in the composite greenhouse and the window bolts into that, maybe that's loose, maybe that rubber seal isn't sealed up, you can introduce some of that high pressure air, because this is almost like a spoiler to the front window. This area right in front of it here, especially down at the cowl, it's fairly high pressure air. If I could figure out how to get that into my car, I think that'd be a positive.
Well, and so to prove this point, we have a picture of our old buddy Denny Hamlin, and I want you to look at, this is qualifying. Totally legal now. This isn't against the rules, but he's not driving around one-handed because it's comfortable. He is using his left hand in some way, manipulating that left side opening, whether he's blocking it, air from coming in is what I originally thought. Your point about high pressure is that you think air might actually be filling this through that driver and actually entering back into the atmosphere.
Especially when we talked about that window vent that's in the top of the window, that's blowing air into the cockpit. So right now there is a Lexan window with a 1-inch return on it. It's like a spoiler out there. So air's trying to go out that, from what I understood of this car. So you're trying to block it back. That hand is actually, and the mirror are both trying to block this void that's in front of the window net, trying to keep the air from going back out.
So, and I just want to say, because I know there was some comments on social media, Rodney, about the intention of the bolts, this boots. I'm not going to point intention. I'm not going to say it was on purpose. I'm going to make this factual statement, though. It doesn't matter. Intention doesn't matter. If the bolts are loose, the rule's secure, the window's not secure, it would be an advantage to not being secure. So even if it wasn't an on purpose, purpose and intention doesn't matter. The rule is secure, the window's not secure. For that reason, I am fine with this infraction. I'm fine with this penalty. I hate it for Rodney. I hate it for Kevin Harvick. I hate it for that team. But at the end, you know, being the sanctioned body is not the most popular place to work, but they have to enforce the rules, and I feel like they were right on this one.
If they don't, we'll be in trouble because it'll be the Wild West again, and we just don't want to do that. The rule book's written. You have to enforce it.
Overall, calm race, at least by Talladega standards.
Yeah.
Crazy number of lead changes. Blaney goes to victory lane. So what's that do? Well, for sure, it makes Ryan Blaney real happy, right? So now Byron and Blaney are on to the round of 8. Let's kind of look through this standing, though, as the Roval looms. Denny Hamlin plus 50. He's got to feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think Denny's in a great spot.
Well, he's in a great spot, but it was a great spot with a great recovery.
Especially with the Roval, because now we have stage cautions coming back.
Yep.
Which means guys will have to make decisions about whether they're going to short pit the stages or chase the stage points. I think that will change. The total number of points you'll get at the Roval, I think, is reduced by that because you have to make those choices.
Because, so basically, let's talk about this. Lap 25, lap 50, there's going to be stage ends. So if you're leading this race and you come at lap 23, you'll be the leader after the stage, but you're going to miss stage points. If you stay on the racetrack. Okay, so before we get into Denny, let me have it. If you're Kyle Larson, who could easily sit on the pole at the Roval, and you are leading, coming to the end of stage 1 at plus 15.
I'm taking stage points.
All right. What if you're 5th, not leading?
I'm getting my track position.
So, okay, so that's where I flip. I know there's a line for everyone. I'm taking 5. I'm taking 4 stage points. Less than that, I'm probably not. But this...
That 5 is that, and that's where the thing is. It's a break point of what you're willing to take.
Well, a guy who's not going to have to worry about that. We talked about it, Denny Hamlin. This might be the recovery of the playoffs by doing, I don't want to say nothing, but by
being smart, a smart speedway racer.
Okay, well, so he's a lap down, gets his lap back. Here he is at the back. We have this on double speed because it's lap after lap after lap. And I want you to really focus, fans at home, on where the 11 is. Guess what? He's not going anywhere left or right. He is doing a very nice job of committing to the middle. Every time somebody jumps out of the middle, he just shoves the next car up in line and continues to move his way up. There you go. Got a couple more. Now he gets the back bumper of LaJoy. Jeff Burton said on the broadcast, some of the best moves in speedway racing are the ones you didn't make. I mean, no offense. He hasn't made a move yet. Now the 48 pulls up. Now I think we're finally coming to the checkered. Now this is where he finally does make a move. I'm going to slow it down because I have, oh no, we still got time. So now we're coming to the checkered. And this is where I'm going to slow it down because he finally makes a move, right? I'm going to slow it down right here. We're coming. All right. The 36 either gets loose, pushed up, I'm not sure what. The 7 goes to fill that hole. Aggressive, but we're coming to the line. Denny Hamlin does everything right. He peels right. He avoids all the wreck. Start-finish line. Yeah. Ends up, Kevin Harvick gets DQ'd, so he gets a whole nother spot.
From the free pass to 4th without ever making a move.
So what's that look like? That looks like plus 50. While that's not mathematically in.
I don't think anybody will score 50-plus points at the Roval given the stage.
Well, and you know, here's the thing. It's more than just that, right? Because he would have to lose 50 to somebody, then he'd have to lose 38 to Bell. And I mean, it would take us all day to write down everything that would have to go wrong. Yeah, I agree. He's in. So let's talk about another one. Brad Keselowski back there at plus 2. Talladega had to be circled. What do you make of this? Let's make sure we get everybody focused on the right cars right here. Brad Keselowski, Carson Hocevar. I'm going to hit play. I mean, I don't know. This looks like speedway racing gone wrong. I guess it's easy to blame Brad, easy to blame Hocevar in their interviews. They seem pretty polite. What do you make of the wreck?
Yeah, I think right now Brad's a little anxious because he's pretty deep in the field in that outside lane and trying to push on Hocevar. And the tri-oval's a tough place. That's probably one of the places that's hard to handle. It's not as much banking as the two ends are. It's still a turn. Gets into the 42 here. They both talked about, Brad talked about maybe the 42 wasn't driving as well as it needed to. Austin Dillon made the same comment, but.
So real quick, I just want to say earlier we talked about Ryan Blaney seeing clean air in front of Byron, and it was turbo. He pushed him and he went to the front.
Yes.
Is it fair? I'm going to give Brad the best pusher award. Is it fair that he sees the same thing? No one in front of the 42, so he's thinking, Carson, hold on, because I'm getting ready to give you the pusher. I mean, he's into him, right?
He's pushing him. He's pushing him. He's pushing him. And then he just gets here. And I think Carson got a little bit squirrely and started steering on it. Once that happens, you're in trouble.
I give them both credit. And this is why I like Carson Hocevar. You saw some respect in his interview to Brad. So Brad doesn't throw Carson under the, man, I didn't think my push was that bad. I don't think his car was driving that great. I don't think he did anything wrong. I kind of got him spun out. And then Carson said, hey, I wasn't the best leader. I'm still learning. Like, I really like this young kid because He easily could have said, well, Brad ran me over. Maybe that was true or not true. But he said, you know what? Brad's the guy, and maybe I wasn't doing everything right.
And the one piece I took out of his interview is he said, maybe I backed up to him too hard. So that to me says that Carson's actually wanting the push, and he's trying to, when he says back up, you'll lift off the throttle, you'll breathe the throttle a little bit to get back where you can get engaged to the bumper of the car behind you. It sounded like he was actually thinking about trying to do that. So there may be some ownership on this on both sides. Neither one of them really threw the other under the bus. A racing incident at Talladega.
Well, as we go below the cut line, Bubba Wallace just had a very average Talladega. Ross Chastain, though, we had one wreck. Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch were both kind of in it. Kyle Busch kind of got through it a little bit, but Ross didn't. Let's remind everybody what it looked like. Coming to the end of the stage, this right here, this is what is so, I feel so bad for Ross. Here is Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse. Ross is technically in the bottom lane. He says, man, I'm going to jump up and I'm going to make some moves. He jumps up, and at the same time, the 47's out of gas. The 8 is trying to get out of the way. Right here, man, he is so close. I mean, look how close he is to threading this needle. I think the 4, not on purpose, gets Ross's attention. He moves right, and in the end, makes contact with the 8 and just couldn't save it. Ends up ending his day.
Yeah, in the same time, the 8's trying to get around the 47 up there and get off the wall. It's almost like the two of them are shooting for the same hole. And I won't blame either one of them. It's just trying to get around the 47.
Wonder how fast it happens? Check this out.
It looks like a great run. He's got a little momentum here. Splits to the right here. He's making some hay. Like it's going forward. And there's a hole down here. Yeah.
Oh, so close. Ross Chastain gets into the wreck. Can't move on. All right, simple math then. Kyle Busch must win, minus 26?
Yes.
From there on up, points?
I feel like when you look at this.
Where are you safe? Yes, yes, yes. Are you safe at Bell? You feel good about 22?
When I look at it, I really, my concern is right here, is that there's going to be one that comes out of there. Because I really feel like Kyle Larson is pretty good at the Roval. I feel like Martin Truex Jr., 2 top 10s in the last 2 road course events, one at Sonoma earlier this year. I think he's pretty good there. Chris Buescher's been really good at the road courses. Now, something can happen to those guys. But if it's a normal race, I think you've got one guy coming out of the final 5.
Well, 4 get eliminated. The final race of the round of 12, Sunday, 2 p.m. on NBC from the Charlotte Roval.